Spring Anderson, thank you so much for joining me to have this talk about your personal journey. I'm sure it's taken a lot of different turns and twists as a lot of our journeys do. Tell me about, kind of where and how you got started, and we'll kind of lead up to where you are today.
Okay. Well, I was originally in the TV industry. I worked for a local TV station, and I was a sales and marketing assistant and a project manager. So I had like Baylor Game Day and the high school football magazine, which in Texas football is huge. So I was a project lead on that. And one of our contests was actually with Fiat, which introduced me to the GM of the Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, Jeep, and Fiat store before Fiat had split off with its own dealership. And we kind of hit it off. And then about 7 months later, he offered me the job to be the digital marketing manager and internet sales director and the BDC manager of this big, huge dealership here.
Wow.
And I accepted, not knowing anything about the industry. And I think it was like the first month I was there, it was like a brand new CRM that we were, importing all that data. And then I want to say about 6 to 9 months after that was when I was approached with Covideo.
Okay, cool. First of all, that's like so brave of you to jump in, and just say like, yeah, I don't quite know where I'm starting, but I'm gonna do it. And obviously, it's worked out, and you did well at the dealership there. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience there and how you got introduced to Covideo and starting to use that as a part of your process?
Sure. So I started out basically building up the internet sales department from the bottom up. They didn't have anything. They were kind of stuck in the old school way of selling vehicles, requiring kind of appointments with the old school approach of just scheduling appointments for customers to come in. But as we all know, this is even before COVID, that wasn't working for the consumer. So I built it from the bottom up and just basically put my OCD shopping as me as a consumer, like to help the consumer that was approaching us online. And so I just kind of went above and beyond with every single customer and ended up being number one in the Southwest Business Center and the only female manager in the Southwest Business Center. So that was huge. And so like when I started, the sales were like 18% of the dealership sales were from the internet. And then by the time I left 5 years later, it was about 44%.
Wow, Spring. That's unbelievable. So you just helped that dealership explode in ways that they hadn't even been imagining, it sounds like.
It was huge.
That's so cool. That's cool. So tell me, obviously it's funny. I had no idea that you'd been in broadcast before.
Yeah.
So maybe you had a little bit of experience, obviously, in being on camera. Was that something that felt natural to you or?
Not really. So what's funny is that I personally am on zero social media, nothing. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on anything. I pretty much cut that cord in 2012 and just decided that didn't really make me feel good. So I just like cut everything out cold turkey. Yeah. And so then I was on the position where I'm managing, right? So I was doing all of the, the digital marketing at the dealership in addition to the internet sales director. So then I was also, doing things on our Facebook and on our, our Google My Business page and reviews and whatnot. So I was notoriously a very private person. That's what's the funny story that Dustin likes to tell is because I was not on board with Covideo at all. I was freaking out about it. And the first day, I was like, I am not going to do this. I'm like, this is dumb. I'm not putting my face out there, And then it's really funny because the first day I came in like full makeup and like did my hair and my heart was in my throat. And I'm like recording these videos and I'm nervous. I'm like, this is just stupid. I'm like, just stop it, Spring. And so I just started recording them. And then even if my eye was like this, which, on like the thumbnail,
it happens.
I was like, whatever, they're going to get it. And they're going to see that I'm like a real person. And so it went from me like, I don't want to do this and kind of being pouty about it to like, okay, this is dumb. I'm just going to do it. And then I want to say it was maybe 2 to 3 months after we started doing it. We were doing about 50 to 75 videos each a day. Anywhere from 800 to, well over 1,500 videos between 3 of us a month.
Man.
And it was starting to show up on my Google Analytics as like on the top 10 drivers to the website. That's on top of all of our paid advertising. So when I saw it like come in, I think it was like 8, 9, or 10 position on like your top 10 drivers to your website, here we are spending $20,000, $30,000 in digital marketing, and Covideo that I'm spending, pennies for,
Yeah.
is now showing up in my analytics. Of course, anybody that uses it knows that it's going to do that because they're clicking off your video, they're going to get redirected.
Straight
and so
right. Yep.
I took that, and then I was like, well, if this works, then I'm just going to use Covideo for my email blasts. So if I was doing an email blast, I was using a Covideo in the email blast, and I was like, well, that works, so let me try this. And then when COVID hit, I was like, okay, so I used Covideo to do all of our messaging. When it first hit, we did a food drive for our local nonprofit food bank, because everyone was, there was no food.
Yeah.
So I started using Covideo for that, and I was getting like over 1,000 views per video just on the email blast alone for those, little public service things that we were doing, in addition to the other stuff that we were doing, of course. So yeah, it turned me into a believer, even though I was really pouty about it at first.
Listen, Spring, I identify, you're not the only one. When I took my job here, I was like, wait, does this mean that I'm going to have to make videos? They're like, yes, all day. That's what you do, is make videos. And I did the same. Today we both look nice, not to brag on, but we do, because we knew we were going to be doing this video.
Exactly.
Like at first I was like, I got to do my hair. I got to do my makeup. I got to wear this. I got to look great. Got to have the great lighting. And then after a while, I was like, forget it. It didn't matter. No one was like, hey, Margaret, your hair looks really whacked. Yeah. Like, they were like, hey, cool, thanks for sending me that message.
Yeah, they were like, hey, cool video. And then like, even if my eye was crazy on the thumbnail, I'm like, I'm sending it.
Exactly. Well, tell me, Spring, where because obviously managing a large BDC, tell me about where exactly you use that in the process. I know a lot of people, it'll feel really obvious to them, but for anyone who maybe isn't doing that, or where it was most successful.
We used it with everything. So say we had like a hot, like actual organic lead off the website with someone shopping a vehicle. The first thing we did was, of course, we tried to call them, but immediately after we hung up the phone, we would record a video and just basically say, hey, I just left you a voicemail. I have that information. I'm going to go run on the lot real quick and get you a video of the vehicle. I just wanted to put a face with the voice on the phone, give me a call, text me back. And then that was super simple, right? It was 17 seconds long. And then we would go out on the lot and do a video of the vehicle on Covideo and then send that to them. So that was like the basic day-to-day operations of it. But the most beneficial was data mining. So I don't know if you're familiar with that in the car industry.
No, tell me about it.
So basically you take customers that are in equity in their vehicle and you try to get them to either sell it to you for your pre-owned inventory, or you try to get them to trade out of it, right? Because you never want to, a dealer doesn't want to have to go to auction to buy pre-owned vehicles. They'd rather have them from their customers, especially their service customers, because you have a service record of the customer.
Makes sense, okay.
Part of like my secret sauce was Conversica and I came up with this very detailed messaging that would go out as soon as I hit save on a customer with, Internet Dealer Wizard or Internet Galley List or anything like my secret code for wherever that customer came from. It would launch a series of messages over the next 6 weeks, and it would sprinkle out these messages. But the first thing I did was like, hey, Mr. So-and-so, it's Spring here. I just had a quick question about your truck. Give me a call or text me back at the number above me. And that was it. And so we were sending that video. And then once you sent the video, then I had Conversica, over 6 weeks, maybe sending 5 messages over a 6-week time. And those customers were buying 3 to 5 months, and about 33% of them that we were touching. So that was a huge part of the video, because it wasn't like a telemarketer. They could see that we were real, that we were asking about their specific vehicle.
Yeah.
And those people were actually really responsive to that. They're like, oh, hey, cool video, because it's, you can get a generic letter or generic email, or generic even like mass text, and customers they're just going to overlook it. But if they see a video like, hey, so-and-so, I just had a question about your truck, just give me a call or text me back. So
and I love it because we talk about personalization a lot in what we do in the auto industry, and a lot of people that we work with, and that level of personalization, though, it can't be faked, because the customer has become so savvy that just putting in their name in the salutation or in the subject line, that's all great, but we know, okay, that's a mail merge, I get it, it's from a list, anybody can do that, no big deal. But when you take that little step, and like you said, it was a 17-second message maybe, and to add that in there and get those kinds of results, I mean, the results really speak for themselves.
It really did. And so, yeah, like about 33% of those were buying within 3 to 5 months. And we were doing, depending on the load that we had with actual hot leads or other campaigns I was running, you know, with other videos, we were doing an average of maybe, I don't know, say 8 to 1,500 of those a month between 3 of us.
Okay.
Just data mining ones alone, on top of the, you know, regular hot leads that we had. And then the other fun thing we did with it, I don't know if you've ever heard of My Talking Pet app. So I would take a picture of the front of the vehicle and I would make it talk, or I would make it sing a song, and I would make a code, and then I would upload it to Covideo to then send it to the customer, because of course they're going to see the thumbnail, they're going to get redirected to my website, or they're going to see my number, and I would send them the vehicle, either talking to them for missing an appointment, or hey, it's me, your new car, you know, something just totally stupid. And get them to engage with me. And then one of them, the funniest one I can think of was this gentleman in Oklahoma. He had special ordered this Gladiator that really nobody else was going to buy because of how he configured it. Okay. And we got it super fast, like less than 6 weeks. And I called him the day it got there. He's like, oh, I got one yesterday, I couldn't wait. And I was like, oh, no, you didn't. So I went out there and I did a pitiful video of his Gladiator singing I'm So Lonely.
Oh my God.
And then I sent it to him, and then he was sharing it with his Gladiator group of like 1,800 people. And we ended up selling it to somebody that was in that Gladiator group, because he was like, hey, I totally let this girl down. Here's the Gladiator that I ordered. I couldn't wait. You know, here's the price we worked out. And then he shared it. And so that video, I don't know how many views it got, but someone from that Gladiator group ended up buying that Gladiator.
That's awesome. Yeah, the shareability of it is great too, right? When someone can forward that message along and be like, hey, talk to my girl Spring. She's, you know, I let her down, but she'll hook you up. This is what's going on. That's awesome.
Yeah, look how funny she is. She said that my Gladiator singing at me.
Yeah. Well, I wish too, we recently came out with our merge feature.
I know.
And merge video together, and I'm like, oh, Spring, this would have been so great for you. So
I know. I got on to Dustin a little bit. I'm like, do you realize what I could have done with this?
I know.
I left in October. When did you just wait till I left to make sure that you implemented this? That and the overlay on the website, I was like, I'm totally going to beat your butt when I see you next time.
I know, well deserved. We would totally deserve it, because this is something that is just saves people so much time, especially for someone like you in the BDC, where you can, like, you know, maybe go out and do a bunch of walkarounds, you know, that you maybe save into your library, and still personalize the beginning where you say, hey, Spring here, you know, I know you asked about this car.
Awesome.
Watching this. Well, something else that Dustin was telling me, which I thought was really cool, like, you know, you went from when you started with Covideo being like, this kind of sucks, I don't know if I want to do this, I feel uncomfortable, to all of a sudden being recognized for being in videos. And I think didn't he say that you were on the cover of Auto Success magazine? Is that right?
I was super excited the day he texted me. He's like, look what I just had on my break room. I'm like, no way. I'm like, I knew it was a national magazine, but nobody at my dealership really cared, or like, they were just like, oh, whatever, you know? And I'm like, okay, this is kind of a big deal. I was like the featured cover, and then the dealership was the center of the magazine with me. And then it was over what we had done with Conversica, with that messaging I was referring to earlier.
Okay.
And then they did like a podcast, and then I wrote another article like 4 months later about women in dealership management. And then I got to speak at Texas Tech.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
And sent me that thing. I was like, oh, yay, it's in. I'm like, you guys see it. How exciting.
I think that is so cool, and great to have that representation for women.
For sure.
In, you know, a male-dominated industry. And I'm just like, oh, Spring, God love you. I think that's so awesome, and showing great leadership and great, you know, intuition too, in terms of, you know, you came from a world that wasn't the automotive world, and is like, hey, I'm going to take what I know from this, I'm going to apply it here. Obviously had great success. just a moment ago too, you said now you're actually moving out of the auto world. So I want to hear about where you're moving to, and hopefully doing the same thing, taking those great ideas and moving into a new industry.
It's really scary because I don't know what I'm going to do. I've kind of given myself a little bit of time to like find that right new home. And I'm kind of toying with the idea of, my son is a sophomore in high school, and I have a son that's a freshman at University of North Texas. And so I'm like, well, this might be a good time to sell my house this summer and move to Utah. So I'm kind of playing with that idea. I know, because I'm from the Northwest originally, so I'm like, definitely love the mountains. And so I'm kind of toying with that. So if I do that, it's going to be like May 1st, I'll put my house on the market, but I haven't decided yet. So it's kind of scary, but I'm waiting to see.
Hey, the good news is
my way.
I think no matter what you do, you're going to be an amazing success, Spring. And how cool that you're, taking another big leap of faith. Just like you did when you started with that dealership, something that you hadn't done before. I'm sure wherever you go, you'll be an awesome success, and they'll be so, so lucky to have somebody like you.
I hope so. And I will definitely be taking Covideo with me, because I don't know if Dustin told you, I ended up getting it to someone who's in franchising sales. So I got him to use
Oh, cool.
The franchising leads weren't answering him, like, hey, have you tried Covideo? And then he loved it, because then all of a sudden leads were like, hey, cool video. I'm like, see, I told you.
It works. Yeah. It works. That's awesome.
And he's still using it now.
Well, let me see. I'm just
going to sales, and he's doing insurance sales now, but he's using it.
Oh, that's so great. I mean, it's crazy to think about all the different applications. I mean, really, any place where you do business with other people, right? Where it makes sense, especially, in where we are today, whether it's COVID, where we're in lockdown or we're not able to be in our office, or even just the time and the money and the distance of travel and being with people. Sure. Our industries have become so much more global. So in order to scale that and grow with it, rely on doing business digitally, but at the same time, you don't want to lose those personal connections and those relationships, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, because if anybody knows anything, it's online leads in general. You're just used to getting automated responses. So that definitely cuts that out. So, and it puts that business, whatever it may be, whether it's dealers or insurance or anything really, it just shows them, hey, I'm a real person.
Yep.
I'm not a robot.
I've actually had people say that to me. I've sent them videos before, and they'll write me back and say, are you a real person? And I'm like, yes, I'm an actual real person who recorded this video and sent it to you. I know it sounds wild.
That's so funny. You just made me think of something else. One time I had a customer reply back with a video, and I didn't know that you guys had added that feature.
Oh.
This is weird. I'm like, he sent me a video back, and he's just kind of like sitting holding his phone, like chilling, in his couch, with like his white tank top on, very Southern Texas style. And like, I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna communicate back and forth on video now.
Okay, that's so funny. I've certainly gotten those before, and you're like, man, you're real comfortable with me already. I guess it's doing the trick. So
yeah.
That's great. Well, Spring, last question that I wanted to ask for you here. Obviously, you've been a wonderful success, not only in your use of Covideo, but in the auto industry and as a woman in business in general. Any key ingredients or secret sauce or tips that you want to share with other folks in business or women in business?
Really, I guess it would go back to the whole, the OCD with me, like being I think I'm a difficult shopper, just because I'm like, don't waste my time. I'm asking you a question, just answer it kind of thing. And so I just really think that people just really need to pay attention to what their customers are asking of them, and, get rid of that generic replies and, all that stuff. Like, people don't care if you got their inquiry, they just want an answer to the question that they gave you, no matter what industry it is that they're asking help about. So if they just get right down the business and start answering the questions instead of making them jump through all these hurdles, yep. I think that's what really made me most successful there, navigating that whole industry, just because, people have been indoctrinated with the auto industry that it has to be difficult. Mm-hmm. And, and it was a struggle with the dealership, because, they're old salesmen, old dogs, old tricks. And, yep. When those companies like Carvana and Vroom came along, they did not like it. And I kept telling them and pushing them. I'm like, this is where it's going. You have to let me be able to, sell online and, do all those things. And, unfortunately, it was with natural disasters before COVID that really allowed me to be able to show the value of that and how much it worked. Like hurricane, I can't remember the name of the hurricane now. It just makes me feel bad. But I had so many hurricane people down in Houston that we were relying solely on the video and everything and completing the entire deal that way, and actually taking them their vehicles because they had lost their home, their car, everything. And they didn't want to shop down there, obviously, because of the flood damage. So it was things like that I was able to, prove that those steps work to try to change the way of thinking. But I mean, it's baby steps, but they still have, the industry as a whole has a long way to go, but they're getting better. And hopefully with COVID, they're going to keep on that trend of, realizing that, those things are possible, and that's where it's probably going to stay.
Yep. Well, luckily they had someone like you helping them through it and bringing them into, 2020 and 2021. So Spring, thank you so much for taking the time to tell us a little bit about your personal journey. We appreciate you. We appreciate you being, such a wonderful champion of Covideo, and wish you the best of luck as you take the next step in your career.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Tell everyone I said hello.
I sure will.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.